Back here in Hope, Indiana with Will Swope, going over our NCGA entry, hybrid 5643. Just want to talk a little bit about planting date and where we're at now in the season, what we've gone through the month of May. It's currently June 4th, 21, and Will, I don't know if you want to talk a little bit about what we've went through and when it was planted.
Yeah. So, like we said, this was planted May the 1st. Really good, ideal conditions. Ground temperature was really nice. Soil conditions were nice. Everything was looking good. Had for that following day, late evening, afternoon, had a quarter to half inch of rain predicted for our area. Ended up being later on that evening into the next morning, we ended up having a little over a 3-inch rain out of that total event. So it pretty much just got clobbered right after it got planted. We were definitely skeptical on some crusting issues and some emergence issues with that heavy of rain and that fast of a time frame. But as you can see in the video, Bryce and I did a stand count. We dropped it at 32,500 on this hybrid, which to a lot of people, if you're pushing yield, might seem like on the lighter end of things, but this hybrid is more of a full flex hybrid. So we really don't want to have those pops up too high because we want to give it room to express that ear and really elongate the ear and get that girth and that grain fill rather than having more ears out there. So we had a stand count here of 31,000. Pretty happy with that number. I think that's still going to be probably in the optimal area for this hybrid in this geography. Seems to be just a tough hybrid so far. Really can't complain too much with it. We did in our 2x2 we did put 10-30-40, 28% half and half mix. We did add some boron and some zinc and also some KTS, giving it a full package of NPK and as well as a couple of essential micronutrients to kind of help give it a boost and make sure it's got everything that it needs when it comes out of the ground. It's right there. So it's a limiting factor that we didn't want to happen other than the adverse weather. We wanted the nutrients there for it to pick up and take off growing and help it through these stressful situations that we seem to be running into these past few springs. Also came back about 7 days ago now and side dressed 28% and some thiosulfate. So we've got all of our in-season nitrogen until later on when we're going to do some tissue sampling. We're going to see where our nitrate levels are. We're going to see where our micros are, and then we're going to hopefully do either some wide dropping or have a Hagee come in with some coulters or something like that, need be, and apply some nutrients down based on our tissue samples of what we're seeing closer to that tassel brown sill in that time frame, right when we're really going to need it to push that ear to finish out.
So real happy with what we're seeing here. Got a real even emergence stand. Getting a good even emergence stand is key, and not putting any crops behind that could become a weed later on in the year. I don't know if we mentioned it already, but V3 corn is what the general field is at currently. Real happy with the early season vigor. Like you mentioned, about 5 inches of rain came in less than a month, and a 3-inch spell. There was probably not much ponding, but a lot of water sitting out here, if you would. So happy to see that out of 5643. And like you mentioned, this 114-day hybrid doesn't like the higher pops. We want to keep it 32.5 less. Just so, like you mentioned, is a full flex ear. We want to really flex that ear out and give it the potential to add bushels there, not necessarily through higher pops. But all in all, real happy with the stand. with the emergence and a great early season nutrient program. So really excited to keep seeing this thing grow throughout the year.
Yeah, as you guys can see, hopefully see, we just have an awesome root structure. We just dug this before we started shooting this video. Just a really awesome root structure already. I mean, you can see all kinds of fibrous roots. You see the radical there coming off the seed. It's really taken off, reaching down to get those nutrients already. We got a really nice dark green color already. Plant's not showing much stress. We do have a little bit of some damage on the leaf from the herbicide application, but at this point of the corn's growth, it's not going to affect our yield or anything. I mean, we're going to get some heat without all this rain that we've had, and with the nitrogen that just got applied, it's going to activate in the soil, and this stuff's going to jump. It's going to really take off and get into all those nutrients we put down. But as you can see, kind of the stamina of this plant going through all the rain. We forgot to mention also, we did not get into any frosting conditions, but we have dipped down several times since this corn has emerged, down into the low 40s. So it's been through some pretty big weather events. Lots of rain, got cool, then it warmed up for a period and got really hot. So it's really kind of been through the ringer. It hasn't had just an ideal perfect start to the year like you really want to see corn get off to a start. But when you start looking around and you look behind us here, I don't think you could ask a hybrid any more than what this has produced so far. I mean, it's blown out of the ground. It seems to be growing extremely well. Really happy with the root structure of this already, and it's just really proven its worth to be a top key player for our geography and our lineup.
Yep, happy to see no disease issues or seedling blights as we had those cool, wet conditions as mentioned. So with that, I think we'll go ahead and move on forward.